Okay. Excuse me. Hey everyone, this is Rangadad. This isn't financial advice. This is just the way I'm looking at the market. Interesting day today. What I'm going to do today is I'll give you a quick, this is what I think is going to happen, and then I'll tell you why, just so you don't have to listen to me ramble on if you don't want to. Basically, I think we're probably going to top out today. I'd say we're going to have a reversal candle tomorrow. Sorry, not reversal. I would say probably retracement. And then I'd probably expect selling to be met with buying demand, unless we get some sort of black swan event, which the Trump assassination attempt nearly turned into, to be honest. I was actually looking at the charts when that happened, and very, very interesting to see. But so yeah, that's what I think will happen. Probably a top out and around here. We may even get a bit of a pullback into the end of the day, but it's surprising that it went so hard through so many critical levels. I guess that's what Bitcoin does when it wants to, but compared to some of these candles over here, it's nothing really. But as you can see, when Bitcoin wants to go, it will just break through all sorts of moving averages and stuff. It'll still come back and retrace a bit, and that's sort of what I'm talking about. At the moment, we're looking a bit more like this, although with a stronger consolidation phase at the bottom. So it may just keep running for a little bit. If we come back, similar thing here, big strong candle, and then it actually followed through, but with just a little bit of a retrace in. So expect it to hold above the 50 moving average. If it does that tomorrow, then I would expect more upside. The only thing we've really got to be cautious about at the moment is sort of black swans and whether people start taking profits again at the top and drive it back down. It's going to be hard to tell, but I don't think that'll necessarily happen. At least looking at it from this point. So yeah, just these sort of reversals, they can follow through. Again, this is more of a V-shaped reversal rather than a consolidation. Bit of consolidation here, as you can see, little pullback and then just keeps going. So I have to see what happens there. The wick at the bottom still worries. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. Press the wrong button, sorry. The wick at the bottom still worries me a little bit down here, these sort of things, but I think we'll have to have something significant happen for that to come back in there. So we are reaching into the bullish control zone on the stochastic momentum. We do have our first little candle here for a while. This is an interesting sort of, I guess, support for this move. I did say I wouldn't get interested until we had one of them and until we were back above these levels here, and we've sort of done both in the same day, which that is starting to be quite a bullish sign. The only caveat is that this signal isn't necessarily a signal that is sort of the final kickoff. Like, you look at these little ones here where it was only a small signal, and they happened at the top before another pullback. Now we're not at the top, like we haven't been basing for that long, and we're not sort of on a run up. Same thing here. This one here happened on that candle there. This is probably more similar to what we got at the moment. But you can see after a pullback, it did keep going. But then I think that was somewhere around, was one of the crashes that happened last cycle. I can't remember which one. But even this one here, like you're building, and then another pullback. But again, this is sort of in a bearish flag area. And we're not really in that at the moment. I wouldn't call this a bearish flag. I would actually call this a bullish, like a bull flag. So, and theoretically, like you could make an argument that we're showing first signs of breakout of a bull flag. Obviously, this level through here is still going to be very critical. And even getting above the mid band of the Gaussian channel on the daily is normally pretty significant. As you can see here, we had a bit of a false breakout, but I mentioned it a few days or weeks ago. I don't know, they've all sort of melded together at the moment with work the way it is. But basically, this does kind of look like a Wyckoff accumulation now. We didn't really get a breakout to the upside, which was sort of the maximum pain peak that you normally get if it's a distribution. We could still get it. Like we could go into this accumulation or distribution for a lot longer. But typically when you do get a fake out to the downside and come back into that range reasonably quickly, it tends to be an accumulation rather than a distribution. So accumulation normally resolves to the upside, distribution normally resolves to the downside. So that, and Bitcoin does love a good Wyckoff accumulation distribution. Like we had the same sort of things happening through here, had the same thing happening at the top. You can see there, that's the max pain sort of breakout. Yeah, Bitcoin doesn't mind a good Wyckoff. We just got to watch out for these bear flags, which, on the shorter time frames, we were bear flagging. As we can see, come in here. This was looking like another bear flag, as I was talking yesterday with the Origin guys. But that was a really strong breakout. And breakout from the top as well, which you don't always see. Like typically you want to get a big strong push right from the bottom of this channel. But I think the key here was what we mentioned the other day when we saw this big volume dump and then a big volume reversal. That there was an indicator that the sellers were done and the buyers were back in control. And we haven't actually gotten back below that since then. So we haven't even recovered that wick, which was our target here, which we thought we might get. Not to say this couldn't be some big fake out and just driven by the news and people FOMOing in on the back of Trump not getting shot. If Trump was to get shot, then holy shit, the market will probably dump its ass off. So just be aware of that. It's news drives the market more when there is less interest in the market, so less retail investors and things like that. Generally, once we get a full bull run, the news won't really affect the market too much. You'll see more just technical targets and take profiting and stuff from the bigger guys, as like the market will behave a bit more rationally, a little bit from a TA perspective anyway. So yeah, that's sort of an interesting breakout. I think this will be a very strong resistance level, but just because we had the double top here, we got some support at that point there. I think if we trace it back, there's actually other levels back further, but basically for that to have done what it did there and just smashed through all this volume here, it didn't seem to worry it. We didn't get a retrace back to this breakout yet. Even the horizontal levels, like this level here would actually be a pretty good retrace level, or it would have been. And I don't think we even did it on the smaller time frames, did we? No, it just broke straight through that and just kept going. So, you know, I'm not a big fan of this long that it took. I wasn't too sad about this one, but it's just one thing with markets in general, but especially crypto, is it's very hard to short what I call it, a dull market, which is what this sort of thing is. You just got this grind up. It's just sort of chopping around, just grinding up, grinding up, grinding up. It's very hard to short in that sort of circumstance because there is buying demand in there, and obviously bots are hard to program in to say don't short when you're going like that. Anyway, we did get a good long there, which we needed after a pretty shit run last week. But yeah, I personally I've got some short protection on this long as well. I've actually since that exited, I've actually been building my own shorts at these sort of the top of these levels here. I do have some more short orders placed up around the 64 and I think 64.5, but just because there's a couple of levels up there, but I have a feeling we might get there. If we do, it's probably going to be either later in the day tomorrow after a pullback, or we might pump up and then pull back. Hard to tell at this stage which way that will want to go. Just over to CoinInc chart. It's been a very, very tough day for the shorters. That is just brutal for them. Like millions and millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin just taken. All these sell orders. Most of them will be, liquidation of shorts. Some of them might be people taking profit on the way up as well. Like there's some big orders in there. Lots of orders above 200 BTC. And yeah, they just kept getting wiped out. Took a few of the longs out as well. Picked up a few of those orders. But yeah, it's there's a lot of long liquidations to come into if it wants it. And that's why I think 61's probably going to be a take profit level for my shorts that I've opened. But yeah, there's still a bit of interest up here, limit orders that we could tap into. There are some bigger, like there's some big long orders in here too. So do not be surprised if we retrace back in here at some stage within the next day. But if you are shorting, be prepared to sort of average in those shorts because, we could still see $1,000 move easily, $1,500 move to the upside before we go back down. It's just grinding up at the moment. So, look, there is more liquidations coming in here. This was pretty thin earlier, a couple of hours ago, but obviously there's more coming in. So typically, the bear stands up before it goes. Yeah. So the other thing here is typically when we start to see this go black on the 7-day and into the red on the 1 day, you do that does tend to kick off a bit of a pullback, but at the same time, you know, the funding rates have been red on the 4 hour and the 1 day for a little bit now, so it could still keep going the way it is. Just it's hard one to pick any sort of top in Bitcoin. It can just keep moving. People starting to FOMO in at the top. So just be careful with shorts, that's all. Go back to traditional markets. The other thing is this is a wick, a vector candle. So, you know, a retrace into 50% of it wouldn't be unexpected, you know, at some stage soon. But let's go into the Nasdaq. Interesting day on the Nasdaq. No real follow through yet. Does look like it's kind of starting to want to turn back up, but I wouldn't pay too much attention to the stochastic at that point. Global liquidity from central banks is starting to roll over again. S&P 500 nearly, well, I mean, it did hit a new all-time high, but not convincing there. Nvidia's still struggling. So the fact that Nvidia hasn't made a new all-time high there and has had a bit of a sell-off, you know, it's still suggesting that we'll chop down to at least that 115 level, at 50 EMA there. That wouldn't surprise me at all. Equal weight. Oh, still haven't broken out to new all-time highs there. That's interesting. It's had a good couple of days, but yeah, that's not a great. Let's call it an indecision candle. Doesn't know whether it wants to keep going up or down. Oh, IWM, big breakout there. That's actually a significant breakout on IWM. Like the last time we were actually properly in this range was January 22. And that's a very typical Wyckoff distribution. Logic would say, now that we're back in this range, 232 on IWM could very easily be the target. Yeah. I don't see why it wouldn't, which would probably see the rest of the indices actually break out to those new all-time highs as well, but all except semiconductors probably. Semiconductors looks like money's moving out of that and into everything else. XLY, XLP. Not huge support for this, but it's tracking similarly to the S&P 500, so it's not suggesting, like if this was breaking to the downside, you'd be saying, well, okay, S&P is probably going to follow, but it's in support. Dixie has broken our levels. It did hit our target down here, that 104, 103 mark. It smashed straight through that 104 though. Holy shit. 200 EMA did nothing on that run. Even the Gaussian channel was ignored, which isn't a huge thing for Dixie with its standard settings anyway. VIX is still trending up a little bit, which is interesting. A little bit of volatility in there. I've got TLTs. reasonably strong. I'd like to see it bounce a bit more than that though. And bonds is, we pointed this out the other day, but actually it was there. So bonds is looking strong. So it's suggesting that the bond market is happy with the way things are going at the moment in the economy, which I don't necessarily agree with, but anyway, I'm not the one making those sort of calls. Skew has pulled back. So, you know, again, it's a market where probably trying to pick a top is going to be very tough. And the skew is sort of suggesting that we may top off here for a little bit, but in general, it's still actually trending up. Like, I guess pullbacks are probably going to be short, I would expect, based on that. Copper's struggling a little bit. It needs to really bounce here. It's trying to support this narrative that it's a strong economy, but it's struggling a little bit. Gold's really pressuring this new all-time high sort of level. Might be a good time to take some profits on gold, actually. If the S&P 500 does go up, then I would expect this to come back down for a little bit, at least into a retest of the moving averages. Silver didn't follow it though. Motherfucker. Come on, silver. I say that because my super account mainly has, I transferred out of gold and into silver around here sometime, I think. I got both still, but I just swapped the major proportion of it. Japanese, yeah, okay. So the Japanese look like they've come in to support their yen. Really, they need to be trying to get it up into this region here for it to actually stabilize. But yeah, they're just burning money at the moment to try and just support the Japanese yen. Where's the Aussie dollar? How's it going? It's had a good run because of the Dixie weakness. It looks like there might still be a little bit left in it though. This 800 EMA has provided pretty good resistance level, pretty good target level for a while now, which would suggest more downside on the Dixie, which would suggest more upside on stocks. Yield curve is interesting. So what you kind of want to see almost is you want to see this uninverting without any real significant media attention. If that happens, I'd still expect the stock market to go up for a little bit. The way it's typically happened in the past, from what I've seen, it'll uninvert, the market will still be going up. It'll go up for another few weeks or whatever, and then it'll roll over weeks or months. So this sort of gradually just continues down over July, August, then uninverts. If this uninverted sometime around late August, early September, and the market continues to go up into the election, I wouldn't be surprised if the market drops pretty soon after that election. I'm still kind of not expecting anything major until the end of the year. Like, I would expect if there's any major correction or major bear market starting in the US, I would actually expect it to occur sort of. It normally kicks off in the period between Christmas, New Year, sort of early 2025 is my expectation at the moment, but whether that comes true or not, we'll have to wait and see. Percentage of stocks above the 50-day moving average is still heading up. This has the potential to keep going for a little bit as well. If we start hitting that 85 mark, or even over 80, you got to start expecting some potential pullbacks. It could stay high for a while here too, so just be aware of that. But at the moment, this is suggesting that we're still likely to head up for a bit. Stochastic momentum on that's getting quite high. Interesting. Oil, quick look at oil. Yeah, oil's just trying to decide which way it's going to go now. Might take another run at this 800, I think. Yeah, bearish below that wick there. So bearish below about $80. Probably bullish on another close above there, but I'd say quite bullish after close above 84.5. ASX has been on a fucking ball terror. Sorry for swearing, but I told my business partner the other day that it'll probably hit the 80,000 mark, and we have hit that. This, we're in breakout territory now, so where will this end? Typically, you want to probably look at your resistance level. Could maybe argue that there was a channel in here somewhere. So first target, probably that sort of distance. What's that? 8,200, pretty much. That is not a bad level to look at. And then your support's probably going to be around there. Like you would expect some sort of pullback here. I mean, it kind of did on that breakout on the shorter time frames, but yeah, wouldn't be surprised if we get a pullback and then push to that 82. But yeah, these markets are tough to project these days. The only thing is just be careful with shorts on a market like this. There's no real reason to short it right now. The economy's up the shit, but it tends to take a bit for that to filter through. Yeah, that's about it, I think. Hang on, Mag 7. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, Mag 7's still struggling. So technology and stuff, I think, has had its run potentially. Might get a little bit more of a push, but it looks like the market breadth is increasing at the moment. It's just money's flowing into other areas, and it is actually flowing into energy and a lot of the safer bets in recessions. So just be aware of that. Big players seem to be getting ready. ETH looks set to really tap into this big volume area here. Retest that mid-band of the Gaussian channel. It's looking pretty strong, although the volume's been terrible compared to Bitcoin. Bitcoin dominance yeah, Bitcoin dominance has just peaked a little bit. Technically, it's still been a little bit stronger than Bitcoin on this particular move, but not on volume, which is interesting. I would have expected more volume there. All right. That's about it, I think. It's been half an hour, so